The first ever two-night SummerSlam is just around the corner, and Raw and SmackDown this week actually gave us some matches. Look at that. My name is Brandon, one half Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast, and today I'm going to rank the SummerSlam matches. Like I said, the first ever two-night SummerSlam is right around the corner. Raw and SmackDown this week actually gave us some matches. They gave us some hints at some other matches, so I thought to myself, hey, let's go ahead and rank these things. As always, make sure to like, subscribe, share, follow us at COD WrestlePod, COD WrestlePod. We will be doing a live stream for SummerSlam. We have a live stream tonight for Monday Night Raw. Will return, just like Roman Reigns did last week. We'll have one for SmackDown. We'll get Will's thoughts on everything. So make sure to stop on by. But that's not why you're here. I have 12 matches here, a couple hypothetical ones, like I said. We might end up getting a couple more. We might stretch that to 14, maybe 13. But I'm going to go ahead and give you the 12 matches from 12 to 1, what I'm excited for. Number 12 is a feud that I honestly was excited for in the very beginning, and it really hasn't really given me any substance since then. Damian Priest versus Alistar Black comes in at my last spot. The Damian Priest-Drew McIntyre feud I thought was great. I thought that was fantastic. And I really was kind of hopeful for Damian in terms of what's next. Well, what's next is not a whole lot so far. Alistar Black has come back to WWE, and I haven't really got a reason to kind of buy back in on him. Yeah, it's cool to see him back. It's awesome. He was great in NXT, right? But nothing really of substance has really hit home with me. I haven't really been able to connect with anything that Alistar has done. So with that being said, Alistar Black, Damian Priest is the match I am least excited for SummerSlam. I think it will be a hard-hitting match. I think the match will be good. I think the match will end up kind of delivering. You'll be like, okay, yeah, it was a good match. It was fine. Passable stuff. But in terms of feud build and all that stuff, in terms of a Big Four PLE, a Big Four pay-per-view, this just doesn't really do the job for me. And before I go on, I do not have anything in terms of the SmackDown tag titles on SummerSlam, mostly because I don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, the Wyatts versus Andrade and Rey Fenix are coming up on SmackDown this week. I don't know if there's going to be shenanigans. I don't know if they're going to just have that title switch hands, maybe a defense. Where do Street Profits come in? Do we get a 6-tag team match at SummerSlam? I don't really know. So I didn't put that on my list because all those factors playing in really kind of adjusted on the scale. Because if you give me like a 6-team tag team title match at SummerSlam, that's going to be high on my list. But if it's really just like a Wyatts versus Street Profits, I don't know if I can necessarily buy in too much to that. So a lot of factors there. But let's go ahead. We'll move on to number 11, which is a match that I honestly thought was going to probably take the cake in terms of the one I'm least excited for, but it just missed that. Randy Orton and Jelly Roll versus Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. Look, I think if you've watched the channel over the last couple of weeks, you know that I'm not exactly excited for this match. I think Randy should be doing some more important things. I think Drew deserves to do some more important things. Even Logan Paul, I think, should be doing some more important things for SummerSlam, right? This kind of feels like the least profile thing for Logan Paul. It is going to get the mainstream media. It is going to get the views. Jelly Roll is going to be fantastic, I think. I think Jelly Roll is going to be great in his limited spots, right? I mean, with Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre, and honestly Logan Paul, how could you not be? I think Logan Paul ends up taking the pin here, but we'll get into that with predictions later on down the road. But Jelly Roll, it just doesn't really do it for me. I'm kind of like, oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I guess the celebrities are obviously always involved in stuff. The stuff on the Tonight Show that they had, I thought was entertaining. That was cool. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's kind of neat. But for something on a Big Four PLE, Big Four pay-per-view, much like Damian Priest and Alistar Black, doesn't necessarily hit home for me. I will give it a chance. I will be excited for Randy, Drew, and honestly, even Logan in the ring. I think that those three will be able to carry the match, and you'll be impressed at the end of the day. Be like, yeah, you know what? Good for Jelly Roll. That's awesome. Happy for him to live out his dream. But in terms of excitement level for me, just doesn't hit the same. And now we'll be moving on to the 10th out of 12. Yeah, so the match that I'm third least excited for, I guess, if you want to word it that way, is kind of a pivot, right? It has Nikki Bella and Stephanie Vaquay versus Chelsea Green and a Secret Harvest member. We don't even know if we're technically getting that, but they've hinted at it and hinted at it and hinted at it. Is Brie Bella coming back? I don't think so. What about another Secret Harvest member to make it a 6-woman tag? I don't think so. I think we just get this. Chelsea and probably Piper versus Nikki and Stephanie is probably what I would pick, probably what I would think ends up happening. They've kind of built towards this a little bit here and there. Nikki did have her solo return versus Chelsea Green in a match that I thought was fine. Chelsea Green is always kind of great. I love the comedy character for Chelsea Green. I think her character is fantastic. She's really underrated in the ring. Obviously, if you only watch WWE stuff, you don't really know the capability of which Chelsea can wrestle. Chelsea's great. Chelsea's fantastic. Really, whoever they have for the Secret Harvest member, it doesn't really matter to me. I think Piper and Alba Fire are both great. They both bring different things to the table. But with all that being said, at the end of the day, this is really just kind of a showcase for Stephanie Vaquay. as she has the title match at Clash in Paris versus the winner of the triple threat, which we'll get to later. Stephanie is going to show out. Stephanie's going to be great. Stephanie's going to be fantastic. You're going to have some fun stuff, some fun moments with her and Nikki, I'm sure. But in terms of, hey, let's look in terms of going forward, right, with Stephanie Vaquay, Stephanie Vaquay, I think she should be doing some big, important things. And I hope this is really kind of just the kickstart to that. And you look at it like, okay, yeah, it was a fun match. Stephanie looked great. Stephanie looked fantastic. And then let's make sure we go ahead and give her that boost, that proper push that she deserves to really go into Clash in Paris and think, okay, maybe she has a shot to win that title. So for that being said, it's number 10 on my list. I wasn't exactly excited for the Nikki Bella return as it is. I know some people were higher on that than I was, but all in all, it's at 10 for me here. And you might be sensing a trend here because now is another hypothetical match that we're going to get in at number 9 on my list. Well, pending a physical and evaluation from a doctor on Raw tonight, I think we get this match, Dominic Mysterio versus AJ Styles. It's a match that's supposed to happen at Night of Champions. The build has been kind of weird, right? You have Dom being hurt. You have great comedy work by AJ Styles. I've really enjoyed that stuff. But for an IC title build and an IC title reign from Dom that I was really excited for, really kind of hoping, hey, let's take that next step. Let's show Dom can be awesome. Show he can be dominant, right? Pun intended there. I think it just hasn't really hit for me. I'm like, okay, I want to see more of Dom. I feel like I haven't even got to see a ton of Dom, right? And the backstage segments, while they work for Judgment Day most of the time, I kind of want to see Dom out in the ring in front of people, right? Just something like that. I do think this match is going to deliver at SummerSlam. I think Dom's going to show, hey, I can wrestle too. Don't forget about that. And it's AJ Styles. I mean, AJ Styles could have a great match with me or you. So for that, it's going to be number 9 on my list. But when you look at it after the weekend, I think you could look at it and say, yeah, that match was really good. Dom really showed out. AJ was great. And as we make our way over to number 8 on my list, I know we just criticized the backstage segments here for Judgment Day, but I think backstage segments and recorded promos are the way to go with this one. Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill. I have it at number 8. I think the match, I'm a little bit up in the air. This is probably the one on the card for me that I'm like, how is this going to go? What's this really going to look like? I think Tiffany is great in the ring. I think Jade has vastly improved in the ring. So I'm more intrigued or interested in this one in terms of how is this going to deliver? Because I have no idea. It could be really good. It could also be not so good, right? We have Tiffany defending that title. The whole build up, right? Jade wins Queen of the Ring, and Tiffany's like, well, she was a champ. She's not a champ anymore. I still have my title. I'm the longest reigning champ on the roster right now. It's been fine. It's been okay. I know there's still obviously time to build that, but I don't think we're going to get the accurate time that it needs or the proper time that it needs to build towards something. I'm interested in seeing in how this goes, but I'm a little bit like unsure, a little bit at ease, uneasy, I should say. How does this really look? I'm a big Tiffany Stratton fan, obviously. I'm a big Jade Cargill fan, so I do have 2 favorites kind of in this match, but I'm very nervous for this match. So it comes in at number 8, kind of almost smack dab in the middle here. This match, when it's all said and done, I looked at it and I said, man, how is it that low on my list? At number 7, I actually have Gunther versus CM Punk. Now, you may say that's ridiculous. That should be higher. Well, I know it's kind of also unfair because we haven't had a ton of time to build, right? We just had the Raw last week that Punk won the gauntlet match, and we haven't even got to see anything. I have this at number 7. I'm a little bit unsure of what happens with this one. I think the match will be fine. I think the match will actually be pretty good in terms of in-ring with Gunther and Punk. I think their styles mesh really well together. I think they mix really well together. But I'm kind of nervous here. I think the promos are going to be fine on Raw. I think Punk can cut a promo with anybody in the ring. Gunther is really good when he has somebody there to kind of elevate his promo skills with. I'm just a little bit hesitant in terms of all this stuff. I want CM Punk to win the title. I don't know if that's going to happen. You have the Seth Rollins stuff. You have people thinking Seth Rollins isn't actually hurt. I still think he is hurt, so I do think there is no cash in here. I could be completely wrong. That would obviously elevate it on my list at the end of the day. When you look at it in the review, you're like, man, yeah, this was great. Heist of the Century 2.0, right? But for a world title, right, Gunther versus CM Punk, I kind of want more of a build than what we've had for the 2 weeks. Obviously, it's a pivot, and I get that. I understand that. But I want a proper feud between these two. If I got a proper feud with proper build-up, not just a couple weeks, I'd be much more excited for this one, and it'd be a lot higher on my list. Speaking of proper feuds and proper builds and proper time frame, number 6 on my list is Roman Reigns and Jey Uso versus the Lawyers, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Yeah, I have it at number 6 out of 12, so basically right in the middle. It's something for me, kind of the same thing with Punk and Gunther. It's kind of unfair to kind of critique it, right? Because I'm like, well, we haven't really given it a lot of time yet. But I have this at number 6. I am excited to see Roman Reigns come back. I'm excited to see him in the ring again. I really liked what they've done with Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Jey Uso's kind of been non-existent, right? He's just kind of come out and yeeted a few times, and that's kind of that. I wanted more of the Roman Reigns Jey Uso dynamic in terms of we were equals, but then you weren't equals, but you were below me, but then I was a world champ, all that stuff, right? I kind of wanted more of that. We might get that tonight on Raw. I could be saying that now and might be eating my words at the end of Raw, right? Because they might build it up that way. But for the same reasons that I just mentioned with Gunther and CM Punk, I have this at number 6 out of 12 because there just isn't enough time for me to really kind of be invested. A couple weeks to me to build to that. I'm like, dang, I really wanted more of the Roman and Jey build up. And we're just not going to get it. It's just kind of how that goes. Number 5 on my list is a match that honestly, if you had asked me earlier, a couple months ago, maybe, or maybe a month ago, I would have said, well, you know what? I'm not really that excited for that. We did a who should dethrone champs, who should be the next champs video. And I did not have this tag team on my list. But ever since I've seen the tag team, I thought to myself, man, this is great. Give me more of this. Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss versus Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. I have this at 5 out of 12. I think this is going to be great. I think this is going to be phenomenal. And while I just said, hey, give me a little bit of story, it didn't even have to be much with this one. The dynamic of Charlotte and Alexa back and forth of like reluctantly tagging. They're not friends, but they're kind of friends. Charlotte Flair is like reserved, but she loves Alexa at the same time. She's thankful for Alexa. You have them making hearts together when they're coming out of the entrances. You have them helping each other out. It's really good stuff. I didn't know that I needed Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss as a tag team. But as soon as I got it, I was like, yeah, okay, this is great. Give me more of this, please. And then you go ahead and you look at the Judgment Day, right? You look at Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. They were really kind of put in a bad position, right, with the pivot that they had to do. But I think it's kind of worked out flawlessly. I think Raquel Rodriguez has really stepped up her game. I think Roxanne Perez kind of speaks for herself, even though maybe still not a lot of people that watch Raw and SmackDown main roster-wise are really accustomed to her yet. I think people are hopefully starting to realize how great she is. They work really good together as a team. You have the impending, like Liv Morgan. Is she coming back? Is she not? I know she just had surgery, but you could have some sort of maybe quick appearance, even just like a music hit, and she just kind of stands at the entrance ramp, something like that, something small, right? But maybe that comes into play with the Judgment Day stuff. How does that happen? You have the bond with Judgment Day needing to kind of continue to solidify with Finn Balor at the helm right now, but maybe it doesn't here. Maybe there's some cracks in the foundation. Maybe you get a title switch here. Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair as a team that, like I said, didn't know I needed them. But what happens? Do they get the titles here? Do they go ahead? Do they defend them for a while? Do we have something that kind of breaks them up right away earlier than maybe we want, right? So this one I'm really interested in, really intrigued in. I had this in at number 5. And honestly, if you'd asked me a month ago, there's no way or reason I would have this on my list. But it is. So here we are. I've been talking about how things need to kind of build and build and build for me to really be excited for it, to get you kind of up higher on my list, right? Well, that's what happens with this number 4 match. Solo Sakoa and Jacob Fatu, U.S. title, steel cage. I mean, that's all you kind of really need to say. I think at times so far with Solo Sakoa and the MFTs, they've made them look pretty weak. They haven't really made me believe that they stand any sort of chance versus Jacob Fatu and Big Jim, right? Especially after SmackDown this week, I was like, oh, man. Rough look here for Solo and the MFTs. But at the end of the day, this has been building and building and building and building. And it's been great. It's been fantastic. Jacob Fatu is so over, right? He's getting the city merch now. He's popping the hometown crowd. It's nice to be here and wherever, right? And you have Solo Sakoa, who's just a comedic god, basically. I love Solo Sakoa's work. I think Solo's great in the ring. I think this match is going to be hard hitting. You got two cousins going at it, kind of like Will and me when we have our opinions, right? Boom, bow, bing. It's going to be a knockdown, drag out fight. Steel cage match makes it even better. I know the steel cage is there to kind of keep everybody out, but I got a feeling that's not necessarily going to be the case. Hopefully I'm surprised, and it is, because I would kind of like to see a kind of resolution, right? But it is the bloodline stuff, so it is always never really resolved. It continues to grow, but Jacob Fatu, Solo Sakoa, it's a one-on-one match. It's a U.S. title. It's a steel cage match. It just has a big fight feel. So that's why this comes in at number 4 on my list. Number 3 on my list is another feud that's been building and building and building and building. Hell, it was even going on when Will and I went to Backlash all the way in May. Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria for the women's IC title. I do kind of wish this had a little bit of a stipulation. Maybe I'm wrong in that one still. I'll kind of continue to hit the table, bang the table until maybe we get that. Maybe we don't. Maybe it is just a great match. But this has really been going on for months and months and months. You could say Lyra's the wrong person here. You could say Bayley's the right person. I might even honestly kind of agree with you, but Becky Lynch and Lyra, we kind of needed a final resolution, right? And that's what we get here. That's why this is going to be so good. It's been building. I'm interested to see how the match goes down. We've had a great one with them at Backlash. You even had Bayley, Becky, Lyra at Evolution. I thought was great. Fantastic. Becky Lynch with that sweet roll up on Bayley, right? So clean, so smooth, right? Penta is kind of jealous at how smooth that was. So I'm interested to see kind of how they build to this one. They don't necessarily need to do anything crazy. I'm kind of already bought in. But how does the match go down? I think we all know Lyra's going to win. But how do we navigate the match? How does the match happen? Do we have just a knockdown, drag out fight? Is it a wrestling, grappling classic, a little bit more slow paced? So I'm really excited for this. Becky Lynch has really elevated that women's IC title. She's elevated herself with this heel character. She's elevated Lyra Valkyria. So go ahead, sign me up. I've said it once before. I don't want this feud to end. Give me it every day of the week. That's why it comes in number 3 on my list. So we only have 2 matches left. If you made it this far, make sure to like, subscribe, share, comment your matches, comment your rankings down in the comments below. Well, let's get into these last 2 matches. Number 2, in terms of most excited, is the 4.75, depending on who you ask, right? 5-star match to me from Evolution with a cash-in that was pretty shocking. All around great stuff from Evolution. You got Naomi, Rhea Ripley, Io Sky for the women's title. I cannot say enough about this. I thought their match at Evolution was fantastic. I've watched it multiple times back since then. Io and Rhea are phenomenal. They're great. They just continue to build and build and build and build. When you look at it, at the end of the day, when these two are all said and done, you might look at it and say, yeah, they had the best in-ring women's rivalry of all time. I think it is that good. But let's not forget about Naomi, right? The champion coming in, right? With the Money in the Bank cash in, she told everybody to proceed with caution. She goes over to the Raw side. Her character work is fantastic. I think a lot of people are really, truly underrating how good Naomi is in the ring. I think Naomi is really going to surprise some people in this match. I have this match being maybe match of the weekend. It might be a show stealer at the end of it. We might look at it on Monday going into Raw and say, yeah, that was match of the weekend. Just kind of like we did with the Rhea, Io, even the cash in, right, at Evolution. I thought that was perfect stuff. You don't really have to build a ton, right? They've been going and going and going for so long. I do want to see kind of how Naomi's kind of inserted, right? I know she's the champ, but if she comes out and continues to just kind of say, proceed with caution, proceed with caution, proceed with caution, does she end up standing tall one time? Does she take out Io? Does she take out Rhea? How does that really work? Does she stand tall at all? I'm hoping so. I'm hoping on Monday, tonight on Raw, she comes out and stands out and says, hey, look at me. I'm better than both of you, just like she did. But then she actually proves it to people. So I've got this at number 2. It's Io Sky. It's Rhea Ripley. Sign me up any day of the week. But you add a Naomi in there, who I personally love, who's doing the best work of her career, who really is going to be out to show some people, hey, I belong in this great in-ring conversation. And that's why it's number 2 on my list. And last but not least, I mean, it can't really be least or last because it is the number 1 match that I'm most excited for SummerSlam. Cody Rhodes versus John Cena street fight. I don't know if anything else needs to be said. I might end the video right here, but it is a rematch from WrestleMania. We've really just kind of been building and building and building to this. You have John Cena, who obviously hinted at ruining wrestling for such a long time, right? But now you have him kind of walking back a little bit of a face turn almost from John Cena on SmackDown this week, right? You have John basically saying, hey, I'll give this to you anytime, anywhere. He doesn't really make the rules anymore. It's Cody Rhodes who comes out and make the rules. You have Cody sitting there being this don't take any crap from anybody sort of thing. I make the rules. It's my time. This match is my whole life. I'm making sure that I get what I deserve, and I'm loving this Cody Rhodes. Obviously, the hints are the double turn at SummerSlam, and that's why it comes in at number 1 on my list. If they're able to pull this off where Cena goes back to the face and Cody goes to being a heel and Cody gets the title off John, I know Cody's going to be away for some movie filming, so that kind of puts doubt in some people's minds, but I still think they're really going to do this, and I think they're going to pull this off effortlessly. I think Cody Rhodes, John Cena, those are 2 of the greats, right? One of them is the GOAT. One of them is one of my personal GOATs, right? I love Cody Rhodes stuff. So maybe I'm a little bit biased by putting this at number 1 on my list, but it is a street fight. So who knows what that entails? Maybe run-ins, all the weapons, everything that could possibly be. Do you get a final boss appearance? Does anybody come save Cody? Does anybody attack John? Does R-Truth maybe make an appearance? Who knows, right? Anything is really in play at this point for the street fight. And it's going to be main event of night 2 at the first ever 2-night SummerSlam. How can it not be number 1 on your list? Like I said, I might be a little bit biased, but that's okay. It is number 1 on my list. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I know I had a little bit of fun making it. I kind of made this about personal feelings for a lot of things, which is great. I wanted to kind of get my thoughts out there. Will be back tonight for the Raw live stream. So make sure to stop on by. Make sure to say hello to Will. And then everything will kind of be going back into normal. We'll have our SummerSlam predictions coming out here somewhat soonish. We'll really on the fast road to SummerSlam, really kind of get his thoughts and opinions on everything. He's missed a lot of wrestling. He knows what's been going on, but he hasn't been able to talk about it. So we'll see how that kind of goes. But as always, make sure to like, subscribe, share, follow us on everything at COD WrestlePod, COD WrestlePod, TikTok Reacts, Instagram, here on YouTube. Tell friends, tell family. Make sure to stop on by the live streams, each and every show, each and every PLE, anything wrestling, you can find it here. But until next time, I'm Brandon. We'll wait until Will gets back. One half of the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling podcast. I'll see you guys tonight for Raw.